Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax. Except you, that person driving. Sit up and keep your eyes on the road. Your ears, though, can still listen as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by... Is he there, Rob? Are you there? I see you, man. Nope, I think you're back on mute again. You are. There you go. You there now, Rob?
Hey, what?
Yeah, nope, you're not there, man. He's there in spirit, I promise you guys. I can see him here on the screen here. There you go. Now you're moving. You there, Rob?
Yeah, I'm here.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
I sound good? I sound good now?
Yeah, now you sound good. You're leaving us a little suspense there. He's like, I need to leave them wanting more Rob.
I'm going to talk about the free agency today.
Oh, yeah. Giants once again being active. And we told you guys, we were thinking today was going to be a day off. Well, apparently the Giants had other plans. They were like, nope, can't give Drew and Rob a day off. That wouldn't be right. So, yeah, they went ahead and decided to, instead of giving us a day off, saying, let's give them a ton of stuff to talk about, because this is probably the most moves we pretty much had since the first day here of the free agency. So, everybody was asking all week long, where's the wide receiver? Where's the wide receiver? Well, today came the wide receiver. I'm not so sure it's the wide receivers people wanted, but we got some wide receivers here. So we talked about, obviously at the tail end of the episode here that we had for you guys last night, that we did go ahead and sign a wide receiver, and it was wide receiver Jeff Smith, formerly of the New York Jets. And people were like, oh, that's the wide receiver we're gonna get. There was our
practice squad guy.
Yeah, that was like somebody let all the air out of the balloon at once, basically.
Yeah, it was a whoopee cushion. It wasn't even a balloon.
Yeah, that was kind of deflating for everybody there. It's almost like Tom Brady was involved.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I went there. But today, every couple hours, it's like they were making a move here. I'm like, I'm trying to work here, people. Can we wait till later on in the day? So literally. It all started today with a new addition to the New York Giants in wide receiver Parris Campbell, formerly of the Indianapolis Colts, a guy who was a second-round draft pick for them, and never really quite got it together because he can't stay healthy. It's almost like the Giants are like, oh, free agency's here. Who can't stay healthy? This person
Who has
an
injury history?
Who was
more? What they did.
Who was more brittle than paper mache? Where are they at? We should start calling stuff the New York
goes down, the
origami.
next one play. Yeah.
But
we're gonna have 8 wide receivers.
Yeah, we're going to need to keep like half our squad's going to be wide receivers, just for whenever somebody gets injured, basically. But I mean, Parris Campbell for the first time in his career was healthy last year, and he's still only 25 years old. So there's still a chance for him to change, the story of his career.
Yeah,
from being the guy who's got a lot of talent and injury prone to a guy that could go ahead and
You also went from last year was his first healthy year, and I don't want to say the first time the Colts have been terrible, but they were god awful last year. Like Matt Ryan couldn't figure it out. He had a little injury. They tried to run the ball, and then they took Jonathan Taylor out of the game, and they tried to pass the ball, and it just with a backup QB, there was all the wrong stats for Parris to be successful.
Matt Ryan was very, very busy because he was trying to figure out how to sign up for his AARP membership, and it's a very complicated system. He tried calling the 1-800 number, and he's got some guy with an accent he couldn't hear.
Yeah, who said his name was Chris? It's weird.
Yeah, but yeah, let's go through those numbers. So, like I said, first time in his career, all 17 games or 16 games, because obviously half his career was 17, half was 16. So 17 games. 91 targets, 63 catches, 623 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, on top of that, though, he's a guy who did also go ahead and run the ball a few times as well. So 5 rushes, 58 yards. So you're talking about a guy overall that did almost 700 yards, total yards together.
But I also, just correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he split those touchdowns between rushing and passing.
So the numbers I gave you on the touchdowns was just his receiving. Let me see if he did have 2 rushing touchdowns as well. So he's got 5 touchdowns overall. So it's a guy, it's a guy who really had a lot of promise coming out as a second round pick. A lot of guys liked him a lot. And basically the issue he came across was, he just couldn't stay healthy, like we said. So first season, 2019, 7 games. 2020, 2 games. 2021, 6 games. Sounds familiar? Sounds like half our roster.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And that's the one major issue I really have with this move is, listen, I do not dispute the guy's talent. And we'll get into some of that in a minute here. But I do dispute the fact that we have guys left and right who can't stay healthy. Like, if you look right now at our receivers, take out the tight end position for a second. We're just talking receivers. You got Shep, Wandale, Parris Campbell, a guy we're going to get into in a minute. That's your big guys there. I mean, we're talking about Jeff now that we got here as well from yesterday from the Jets. Isaiah Hodgins obviously is the one guy who has had no health issues there, but you got half your receiver squad basically coming off an ACL.
But can you really count Isaiah Hodgins not being injured when he was on the practice squad?
No, because we don't know what he's going to be like for his career, but at least doesn't have the history. But what
what I'm getting at is he's also not playing these high caliber games where he's getting injured during the games.
No, but that's something we don't know.
What I was trying to say.
But the big issue is that, like I said, it's like, okay, let's say example, 1 or 2 of these guys are out. Then 1 or 2 of these guys goes out, then all of a sudden we're picking scrubs back off the streets again to play wide receiver for us. I don't want to do that. This is supposed to be a new Giants. I'm done with that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit yesterday too. What I see, and we talked offline before this, especially before the receiver that we're going to talk about next, about what are we doing? Like, is he better or not?
Yeah,
and is it worth the signing him? But when you actually just break down his contract, it's a pretty cheap deal.
Oh, it is.
It's mostly incentive pay.
It's 100%. 100%. I'm not mad at the money. Not at all. I'm okay with the money. I'm even okay with the move. I'm not upset about the move. I'm concerned about the move. There is a difference, obviously. As we have Deborah Ellis here with, can a lot of these injuries be a lack of good conditioning? Listen, I got to be honest and say I am not the expert on the Colts training staff. So I don't want to say that, it's something the Colts did or, something that he was doing in the off season. Obviously Waller had mentioned with his issues. But whatever it is, my hope is he figured it out.
Hey, Deborah, if you meant overall, I don't know if it's I think of not being in good condition. I think it's these guys overworking themselves. So I guess you could say that's not good condition, but these guys are trying to be the best athletes they could be. Yep. And you can overtrain. That's 100% a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're putting 110% in your practice, that's what you're supposed to put into the game. You put 100% into your practice. So now if you put 110% and you push yourself like you're playing every single game, which you kind of supposed to do.
Excuse me, Rob. Hold on a second, Rob. We are not going to be that show. We are not going to give people false information. We cannot go more than 100%.
Oh, you never got to overdrive?
No, you can't do more than 100%. We are not going to be that show that gives falsities.
All right, fine. You give 90%. I sound like a coach right now. But if you're constantly you're supposed to train like you play for the game.
Oh, should we clarify also, by the way? Yes, not just the Colts.
Yeah. So we talked about this last game as well. I think a lot of it is these guys are trying to put on size, they're trying to put on speed, they're working too much and not giving themselves enough rest. which is leading to a lot of different injuries. Once again, I'm not an expert. I did not go to college to train, sports science. So I was just a meathead for a long time, and that's 100% true. Like
having all your protein shakes and all,
and protein,
and using your shake weights and all.
Yeah, shake weights the best.
Gets you ready for those busy Saturday nights.
Yeah, forearm, it's on point.
We also got Beef White also with, it's the way they train today. They need to go back to old school free weight training. I think part of the issue you come across is when you look at the receivers nowadays that are in the NFL, a lot of these guys are built for speed, and speed. And Parris Campbell definitely falls into that category. He's a very small guy
100%.
who is extremely fast. He actually reminds me of, and I don't want anybody to get upset when I say this, he almost reminds me a little bit of Kadarius Toney, but with eyebrows. Like, he's a weapon. You see him coming out of the backfield. You see him coming in screens. You see him going in wheel routes almost like a running back would do. You see him doing slants. You see him doing all kinds of things. You never know where he's going to be, what he's going to do. But as you build teams with these smaller receivers, they're still getting hit by bigger guys. Granted, a lot of the linebackers and all have gotten smaller in the league over the last couple of years as well as they try to get speedier to catch up with these receivers.
Also, don't forget, speed is power. So, that's just as good as being a strong guy. If you're a strong guy that can't move fast, but if you're listen, if you get hit by a car that's 2,000 pounds at 10 miles an hour, it's not going to do that much damage. If that car is doing 25, you're going to feel a lot more.
I was unaware we're going into Newton's laws of motion here. Let's see. A body in motion will stay in motion.
So an opposite or a similar opposite
equal
reaction.
Opposite reaction. There's an apple that fell from the tree and hit me on the head. I don't know, whatever the story was. But here's the thing, though. I don't disagree with you as far as the force of the hit because of the speed. But what I'm kind of getting at is that also for these receivers, they're smaller, they're not as strong because they're built for speed, and they're more prone, I think, to injuries overall. I think that's part of the issue with the league as a whole. But I think part of it also is the fact that the Giants just seem to not give a damn if someone has an injury history. I mentioned Toney a minute ago, and when he was over in Florida, he was always injured. Never played. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even until their sophomore year, his junior year when he left, that they actually knew what they had in the guy. Because he couldn't stay on the field the first couple of years. They didn't even know what kind of talent he was going to be yet. Yeah. So, and they drafted him in the first round. This guy can't stay healthy. He's a wide receiver. Let's get this guy.
He's got.
You don't have enough of those?
He's got a lot of talent, but he'll get that talent for 4 to 5 games a year.
Exactly. And, obviously the other injury guy we got is Shep, who is, I think just snake bitten. It is what it is. He's just totally snake bitten. I'm just going to work it that way and call it a day.
Yeah. When it comes to Shep, I think he's more of – he's not there to be our number one. He is, but he isn't.
He's a Robin. He's not a Batman.
Yeah. He's kind of our wink, hey, be the veteran. Teach these young guys. Coach them
but
up.
What I'm saying is he's injured every year, and he's not a smaller receiver. He's not a guy like we're talking about Parris Campbell. But I think his issue is he's just snake bitten. And then, of course, you have the issue of, Wandale Robinson getting injured his first year. The other guy is, 170 pounds? Are you kidding me? That's my weight in middle school. You can't play in the NFL at that size and not get occasionally injured. Because when you're 170 and you got guys that are 240 hitting you, it's not going to work out well for you. Let's call it what it is. It's not going to work out well for you when you're giving up 70 pounds to the guy that's hitting you. Are you all right there? Are you going into a seizure here, Rob? You got lights flashing like crazy.
little seizures.
But like I said, there's the injury concern, and it's definitely there. Like I said, he finally put it together here. But let's go over that money part because you mentioned that. I think that's the key reason why I'm not upset about the move. If they gave him $8-9 million a year, I'd be freaking livid right now. Absolutely goddamn livid. But instead, it's a 1-year deal. It's got a $1.5 million signing bonus. It's got a $1.4 million base. And he wasn't all about that base, apparently. He took a lot of incentives. No trouble. So you got a $100,000 workout bonus, $100,000 bonus per game active. He's got another incentives of $1.9 million, which maxes out if he does 75 catches or more, 900 yards of receiving or more, 8 receiving touchdowns or more, and leads the team in catches, yards, and touchdowns.
Yeah.
I really hope we have to go ahead and give him all this incentive money.
It's a win then. Like, it's 100% a win.
So do the math on that real quick. I know. I said we'd never have to use this math, but we do have to. You're talking like, 1.9 plus 1.5 at that point.
3.4.
This is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. Then you add another 1.7 in for the bonuses. This guy's gonna max out if he has a baller year at like $6-7 million. I'm not doing the whole math right now, but you're not talking about a lot of money.
Yeah, he's still over 5.
And if he
$6 million.
And if he can't stay healthy, let's say hypothetically, and let's say he gets injured even in preseason or something like that. With worst case scenario, he gets injured in preseason. I don't know, the fan vent or something like that, because this happens. It's the Giants. You're out the bonus money. That's it.
Yeah,
you're at $1.5 million. The risk is so little that it's so worth the reward. Point blank, it's worth the reward. The bigger thing is, what are we going to do with them? Because we have slot receivers everywhere.
So, I mean, you and I were talking offline. I do think they're going to use like a 12-man team, 22-man team. Like, they're going to sit there and use like for the guys out there, the 12-man teams of 1 running back, 2 tight end setup. So we just got Waller. We have Bellinger. One's a great blocker. One's a great catcher. One's an okay blocker. One's a good catcher.
I wouldn't even say okay. Waller's not a good blocker. Let's call it what it is.
I was going to...
I'm trying to be a realist. I know you're trying to be nice. But yeah, he's not. But, the big thing is where we put all these different receivers, because so many of them are slot-style receivers.
We're going to have to do like that whole Patriots, KC, Green Bay, divide up the talent and not always have every person on the field. And it's going to be like number one. And it's just going to be chop, 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 different plays and always confusing the defense.
Hi, it's Vince from Slap Chop, chopping your troubles away.
Whack!
Chopping your troubles away. Do you ever look up that Slap Chop remix? We talked about that during the season. It was freaking hilarious. Look it up. It was freaking hilarious. So I think we talked about not having a number one just then. I think the thing that Giant fans have been screaming for a number one, and I don't think they quite realize yet, we have a number one. Our number one is Waller. I know he plays a tight end position, but he is going to be our number one if he's healthy. It's a big if, obviously, consider the last couple of years. But if he's healthy, that's our number one. So you're going to have, at that point, you got Isaiah Hodgins. You got Darius.
Funny, if you really want to think about it, like, who's the number one receiver in Kansas City this past year?
It's a good question.
I wonder what kind of offense sets something up like that.
Maybe it was a Travis Kelce.
That's I'll get back to you on that.
Look at the Patriots when Dable was over there. He was a tight end coach, and this is when they had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
Do you think were they throwing to the receivers that often?
And what kind of scheme were they running?
Double tight ends. It's almost like we should have seen this move coming.
Yeah.
It's almost like someone should have been repeatedly on a podcast saying, hey, I think they're going to get a good receiving tight end. And I don't think they're going to worry about getting the number one receiver as much. It's almost like someone should have seen this coming and announced it repetitively.
Who could have done that?
I don't know. If only there was a show with 2 goofballs around that said that over and over again.
We're going to have to listen to more podcasts.
If only. But, like I said, the things where to put it, this guy. So, I mentioned the Kadarius Toney comparison here a couple minutes ago. I know it kind of hurts Giants to hear the name over and over again. We said like 3 times already in the last 15 minutes we've been on here. But he is a guy who's very, very fast. He's a guy that is, like I said, comes out of the backfield even sometimes. He even rushes occasionally. He's a guy that, like I said, you move him around. He's the kind of that, I don't want to call him a gadget player, because he's shown legitimate use in the pass play. And when I hear gadget player, I always think of the guys who like, I don't know where to put him, so we just use him where we can occasionally. Like a Taysom Hill. Like that's the guy I think of as a gadget player.
So like, don't be surprised if you see Parris in the back, with Shaq. You see Waller and Bellinger off on each side or
Did we
same
sign
side.
Shaquille O'Neal?
Shaq Barkley, man. He goes back. Come on, man. Good times.
Can you imagine trying to tackle Shaquille O'Neal?
Dude, you might break your shoulder trying to run through those hips.
He'd be like a taller version of the fridge. Let's see. Deborah comes out with, seems like Tony never wanted to come to New York. Waller was surprised at the trade. Just married his wife, his NBA player in Vegas. Now he's shipped to New York. I hope he's happy about it. Deborah, he is ecstatic, I think, for two reasons. One, there was definitely issues with him and the Josh McDaniels team there in Las Vegas. They made the joke about him not being invited to the wedding. He actually wasn't, from what I hear, invited to the wedding. And I don't know about you guys, but when you get married, most people invite their boss. It's one of those things you may do hoping they don't actually show up.
I mean, look at Tom Brady, going to Robert Kraft's wedding.
I mean, but it's a normal thing to do. So not only that, Josh McDaniels spilled the beans on their wedding a week beforehand when they wanted to keep it private. So, and he didn't use him right all year long and kept him putting him at wide receiver instead of tight end. Didn't have him on the field half the time. So I think he's pretty happy with it. In fact, his dad was a Giants fan. He grew up in a Giants home. So yeah, I think he's happy, and his wife is understanding. As much as we talk about the fact that she's a WNBA player in Vegas, she understands because she's an athlete herself. She knows you move in this business. Plus, they usually have different times for the seasons. Keep in mind, the WNBA is playing now. He's not. So they'll still get time together. They just may move around between two different homes because of it. Or, as many Giants fans have suggested, maybe she looks for a trade to the Liberty.
Yeah. Come on down.
Come on down. We'll get the whole family. But like I said, I think it's going to be interesting where they put Parris Campbell in this whole thing because, like I said, he's a usable gadget player. So I don't want to just call him a gadget player. He's a usable gadget player. Yeah. And I think you're going to see a lot of creative things with him. I think he's going to move around pretty often. And I think you're going to see, actually, I think a lot of slant routes. For something reason, I'm just looking at this squad going, there's going to be a ton of quick slants because we have a lot of small, speedy guys.
Let's say that's like 2/3 of a receiving core.
But the big issue is I don't want to do slants where they get hit by the big guy afterwards. That's my big concern because they're so tiny. So these are tiny receivers.
He's a wee man.
But we did also sign another receiver. We kind of alluded to a minute ago there, and if you read the name of the episode beforehand, you already guessed probably who it is. Darius Slayton is back in town. There was a lot of rumors the last couple of days about him. The talk was today that basically this morning even it was coming out that the Falcons were also very interested in him. He had offers from both teams, and it was just down to which one he wanted. And from everything I read, Slayton wanted to stay a Giant. And I think it's a good story overall because here's a guy who, beginning of the season, was basically on the bench, getting benched for guys. Most of us can't remember the names of these guys now because they're such scrubs. And by the end of the year, he's our top receiver.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
He was, he played 3 snaps in the first 4 games or something like that?
It's absolutely insane how little he played in the beginning. Absolutely
the first 6 games,
insane.
Our top receiver was Richie James, and then give it to week 8, week 9 when we had to put him in. Well,
but he was in 16 games overall. When I see that though, he didn't start but 11 of those. The other 5 games he was barely in basically because that was before they wanted to use him, and he still ended up with 724 yards. Imagine. If he was on the team the whole time, he would have been close to 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And listen, he's not the number 1. We never said that. I'll be clear about that. He is not your number 1. He's not the wide receiver 1.
We said all year round, he's that number 3 to 4 guy.
Yep. And I like to kind of bounce around between different areas of, Twitter Spaces, Facebook groups, all that kind of stuff there. And I'll tell you, I went to a Twitter space today, and oh my God, people were livid. Absolutely livid over this move. And the reason why is because they think that we said all year long, he needs weapons. He needs weapons. And they're looking at it as we're bringing back Shep, we're bringing back Slayton, we're bringing back the guys that weren't good enough last year.
And it's not fair to say Shep because he played.
Oh, I'm with you. Listen, I'm not saying it. That's what they were taking it as. Here's my whole thing. You could take back the people from that group that were good, move them down the depth chart, and get a couple guys in front of them. And that's not ridiculous to say. But, the question I'll ask everybody who's listening live with us here, who else is taking the top off of defense on this team? Where's the really speedy guy who can go ahead and do a 9 route right down the sideline and go right for a touchdown to start the Jacksonville Jaguar game besides Darius Slayton?
He's the only speedy guy we had last year.
The only one. I keep hearing, we could draft somebody. We could draft somebody. You guys think it's that easy to draft a guy who consistently does over 700 yards a season? If you think that, I'm sorry, you overvalue the draft picks because half the guys in the league will never even come close to sniffing those kind of numbers.
No. Like, you know what you have in Slayton. You know his flaws. You know what he can do and what he can't do.
And he's got his flaws. We all know about the Butterfingers. This man could drop a pass that literally tries to like Velcro and wrap around his hand.
That's what I said. We're going to get some Gorilla Glue.
Yeah, I mean, like let's be frank and call it what it is. But he also, one thing that he doesn't get any credit for, which I think is kind of BS. I think wide receivers should get more credit for this stuff. Not only did he have the 700 plus yards last year, but how many clutch pass interference calls did he get down the sidelines as well?
Yeah, he did.
And you know why he gets that? Not just because he's fast. Guys, he's a veteran, not a rookie. He knows how to do it.
Yeah.
So you guys that want a rookie, they won't have that. They won't have that ability. It takes time. We put years of effort into this guy. We deserve to continue to reap the benefits of that. And he'll never be the number one, but he's a solid receiver in the NFL. A solid receiver. And if you don't think that, rewatch the tape there. I'm telling you guys right now. Beav White comes with Slayton and Jones came into the league together. That must have something to do with it. Listen, I think it's pretty obvious that two of them have chemistry together. That's pretty obvious. I mean,
they went on a date once.
Yeah, I mean, it was magical.
Yeah, majestic.
Went to a movie, some dinner. But I mean, like I said, it's one of those things pretty obvious. They work well together because he's been his top receiver whenever he's given the chance, basically. It's not just this year, So, you get a guy like Campbell who basically replaces Tony. You get Wandale back from injury. You get Slayton back from free agency now. You get, Shep hopefully back from injury. It's a much better squad than we put up last year. 100%. If people were expecting OBJ and DeAndre Hopkins and these bigger names that are supposedly available, guys, that's going to be money. A lot of money that we don't have.
And just to reiterate, D-Hop is way out of our salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting up there in age.
He's older.
So he's a guy that, had some injuries, took some PEDs, tried to get back in. So who knows what he's going to look like? He is
no clue. He was good when he was back in. I'm good. He was good when he was back in.
He's a lot of talent. But do you want to sign him to a long-term contract?
I don't.
He's older.
I
don't either.
Not at that age.
OBJ.
We'll talk into that conversation in a minute because I have another older guy that we're going to talk about later on today that got a new contract today, and that's going to be a fun conversation, I think. We'll laugh about that one. But, like I said, I think the big thing really is that, you got to look at what's going on in the league, and how many successful offenses do you see that they have multiple weapons? It's not like it was 30 years ago where you go, I just need this one stud receiver.
I can
Not
think
what
of
it is.
Think of about the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
This year. I mean, granted, the Eagles have that, but I mean, look at the wide receivers for the Chiefs besides Kelsey.
Yeah, but also, that's a team that you have to kind of take that away from. That's just
Because this is the team that our offensive coordinator came from. Why would you not go ahead and go, oh, okay.
No, I get what you're saying. When you said, like, it's not like what it was in the old school days. Like, when Green Bay won, who was the top receiver? Like, they had a lot of talent. How many top receivers were on the Patriots' 8 rings in the past, 2 decades? Like,
we're going to find out because every single one of them is about to become a New York Jet.
Pretty much. But I'm just saying.
I heard a rumor that Donald Driver is coming out of retirement to go to their practice squad.
I'm just saying, when you have an elite quarterback, he can make good receivers look great.
Well, we don't have one of those, though, yet.
That's what I'm saying. But look at the Rams 2 years ago. You had Matt Stafford, he's a great quarterback. Cooper Kupp, and you got OBJ half the year, who played not even half the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did something, but not great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, besides those two, who was on that wide receiver core that won in the ring?
Yeah. No, yeah. Like I said, I mean, I think the big thing is, I think fans were expecting us to go ahead and get a Pro Bowl top 5 wide receiver group this offseason. And I don't know where that thought process came from. I really don't.
I understand you want a top 5.
Oh, yeah, listen.
You also have to be realistic. Top 5s don't last that long in the NFL, 1. 2, they cost money if you're picking them up. 3, we are still in a rebuild year. Like,
yep.
There's a goofy podcast that talked about we're probably not going to get a wide 1 this year. Like, we're probably going to get 2 wide 2s.
And a good tight end. What's happened so far this offseason? It's almost like what we're talking
especially
about.
Like, this past season, how many deep balls did DJ throw?
Oh, so deep.
He got so deep for 10 yards.
And pretty much every single one of his deep balls was to Darius Slayton. That was his guy. So, you want this guy to succeed. You don't take away weapons and tools that he enjoys having at his disposal. You take away the useless ones. You take away the David Sills. I know the Sills Army is going to be upset with me. I'm sorry. The guy sucks. You take away the Marcus Johnsons. I don't think anybody's upset with me saying that, but you take away those guys. That's what you take away. And if you can go ahead and get 1 or 2 more receivers, so we got Parris Campbell. Let's say hypothetically he replaces David Sills. Let's say we go ahead and get somebody in the 1st or 2nd round receiver-wise, and they replace Marcus Johnson. That's still an improvement over the roster, especially when you consider the guys coming back that are now going to be healthy.
Yeah, and you got Wan'Dale coming back healthy.
That's what I'm saying. You got Wan'Dale coming back. You got Shep coming back. It's like, if you guys were expecting this problem to be fixed overnight, you're crazy.
Yeah. No, like, listen, if we just came off the season we just had, and it's 2 years in the future, yeah, they probably will pay that money. But from the get-go, when Shane took over, what did he say his number 1 priority is? Get rid of the salary cap.
Yep.
Right?
Fix the issues. Get cap healthy.
Cap healthy, fix the issues. So, what is he doing?
He's getting cap healthy. He's fixing the issues. It's almost like he told us exactly what he's going to do, and just nobody believed him for some reason. Like I said, I like the moves. I really do. And I think part of why I like the moves is because if we talked about this yesterday in reverse, but I'm going to say it in more the negative way. If hypothetically the Giants did not think that Hardman was going to be a number 1 receiver, then don't sign a guy that you already know because you have experience within the building with him. If Mike Kafka doesn't go to you and say he's a number 1, then you move on. You go to the next best thing. They got the next best thing. Because we all said we didn't want DJ Shark yesterday. That guy can't stay healthy at all. He makes Parris Campbell look dependable. It's the truth. Let's call it what it is. So, at least Campbell's got the 1 season that just passed that he got it together. DJ Shark's been consistently injured for the last 3 or 4 years. So, you got a guy now who improved your roster. You got back 2 guys that you wanted to bring back that you believe in them talent-wise. And you still have the option to go ahead and draft one in the 1st or 2nd round. I think the Giants are doing a damn good job, considering what's out there. It's not like there's some big names out there. This is not like last year. So, Good for them. I'll say I'm very happy with what they're doing wide receiver wise. Even though, like I said, I know some people, based on what I saw in that Twitter Space, will disagree with me wholeheartedly. And there's definitely a
Those are
few
the same
choice
people.
words getting thrown around.
Those are the same people talking about how great he looked in the middle of the season.
Yeah, this would be the same people who said how great OBJ looks.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Honestly, I think that's a lot of what it is. I think people are upset because they want OBJ because they think he's the OBJ of pre-Giant, back in the Giants for the first run. He's not that guy.
No.
He's not that guy. He's just a guy in a clown hair costume going on that's running around looking for as much attention as he possibly can. No one's still seen him in pads in a game now in over a year.
Yeah.
I just don't trust it. I don't trust it. So. I will say this real quick on his end there. Pat Leonard, who I don't often bring up in the show for obvious purposes that no one likes him, he mentioned the fact that the Giants were not out of OBJ and that whole issue there. But he also said that before we made these moves. So I don't know if that means we're out, but I'm hoping so. I really am. I don't want OBJ. Don't want him. I'm good where we're at. Let's draft one receiver, in the early rounds with a first, second round, maybe third worst case scenario. Because I never want to stretch for somebody, and then let's just go with it. It's still an improvement. You got Waller back as your top weapon, who's a huge improvement catching wise for the tight end, as much as we like Bellinger. Because again, I don't want to ever talk pro about Waller and make it seem like we're negative on Bellinger. We're very happy having both of them. So, and roll with it. Improve the line. You want to really fix some of these issues, improve the damn line. Because these
Bellinger
receivers...
has high season, too. High ceiling. So, let's not forget that, too.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like I said, I'm not hating on either one of them. I'm happy having both. We do have another signing today, of course. Jihad Ward is back. And I think we kind of expected that one. He's already said point blank, I'm going to play wherever Wink Martindale is. Like, if Wink had gotten the job in Indianapolis...
He would have took Jihad Ward there.
Oh yeah, if he got the job in Indianapolis, he would have gone right to Indianapolis. He's not even a Dable guy; he is a Wink guy.
Yeah.
But you notice the players love him. He's gotten that leadership role. The players love him.
Hands down.
Don't say hands because he was there with the whole ATV incident with McKinney. There was hands down.
That's what he's trying to tell McKinney, but he pulled his hands up.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, he's back, 1-year deal. I haven't heard any news on the amount of money he's getting. Real quick as well, because I just realized we didn't give the number for Slayton. Slayton, 2-year deal, $12 million. Could go up to 16.5 with incentives. So, yeah, not a massive deal for a guy that's got 4 years experience now, for a guy that's done 700 yards consistently. I'm sure Jihad Ward is also not a massive deal because...
Yeah, I don't think so.
Doesn't get one. I mean, I think he'll get probably like $4 million. Somewhere in that ballpark, give or take $1 million.
3.5.
Yeah, that's where I think he'll probably be, but we'll see. But again, I like the move. I think he's good as a third edge guy. Better at setting the edge as far as against the run than either Kayvon Thibodeau or Azeez Ojulari, at least for right now. Obviously, those guys are very young, could turn that around. But did a little more in the past, rush than I thought he would this year as well. He had, I think, 3 or 4 sacks for the year, and definitely had some good rushes. Yeah, so like I said, I'm perfectly fine with bringing him back. He's a guy I wanted back.
What was it, 60 tackles, I want to say?
I don't know the exact tackles.
I want to say it was in that ballpark of 60 tackles.
That sounds about right, but I don't know the exact number, to be honest with you.
I'm going to guess. If I'm a better man, I think it's 63. Pulling up the video tape.
To the tape.
To the tape.
Oh, yeah. And then, while you're looking that up real quick, we also have some draft news. We do have some draft news. Jalen Carter, who seems to be in the news every single day for all the wrong reasons. Jalen Carter is now reached a plea deal with the police, and he's not going to serve any jail time whatsoever. So, I guess good news for him and whoever drafts him. But again, he's off my board entirely. I want nothing to do with this guy. I'm good. So yeah, that wraps up as far as Giant news. So you know what time it is, Rob?
Frenzy time.
It is.
Frenzy time.
Oh yeah, free agent frenzy time. Do. By the way, I just realized today that the NFL Network uses the same exact term. They also call it the free agent frenzy.
Son of a bitch.
They they stole it from my mind. Luckily, I don't think that's something you can copyright, so we're going with it still. So we always start off here with quarterback and go all the way down. So quarterback here. So first we have the daily update on Aaron Rodgers. And the rumor is that the Packers are still looking for a first-round pick from the Jets in exchange for Rodgers' rights, even though he's the age of most grandparents. No, he's 39. He's like 1 year younger than me, so I mean, he's basically my age. But the big thing is there's also talks about they may want conditions in that trade as well, that if he plays multiple years, they get additional picks, which is smart on their end.
Yeah.
I could see asking for that, because if he plays for 1 year, he's not worth as much as if he plays for 3 years.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
And I feel like the Green Bay organization's pretty suave when it comes to like making those deals.
Suave.
Rico. And
Suave.
the Jets organization, they're kind of boneheaded sometimes.
No, not the Jets.
So
the Jets are very intelligent. I don't know where you're getting this from.
So I do see that.
Yeah.
What is it with the Jets taking old Green Bay quarterbacks?
That's what I said. You saw the meme I sent you the day that Jordan Love is scheduled to be traded in 2040 to the New York Jets. It's probably true. We also have in minor quarterback news and more backups here. So we have Gardner Minshew signed a 1 year, $3.5 million deal with the Colts. Interesting spot there, because the Colts may very well go ahead and obviously draft a quarterback. They have the number 4 pick currently. So I fully expect them to get one. The big thing with that, though, is if they want to sit the guy for a little bit, Gardner Minshew may actually have a chance to start for a few weeks in a row and kind of showcase his stuff a little bit. So it could be a good move for him. Chicago Bears also released Trevor Siemian, who everybody basically forgot was in the league still, because he's been there for quite a number of years and you'd never want to see him basically. Running back wise, Chase Edmonds joins the Bucks. He was split time with both the Dolphins and the Broncos last year. Been an okay backup in the league overall.
He had that one good year, and that was
one good year, got a good payday, and then didn't do anything much after that.
Yeah,
it happens. So former Jet Braxton Berrios goes to the Dolphins. Obviously, he's a part-time slot receiver, full-time All-Pro returner. So good move for them. One of those underrated moves, because you need special teams.
And what's with the Dolphins just taking Jets?
Listen,
There's
Mike White was missing his Braxton. That's all there is to it. Deborah Ellis comes in with, so where is Josh Rosen? Sorry, not sorry. It's interesting. I saw a tweet, or was it? I think it might have been Facebook, actually. I forget which one, where they were talking about, Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. I mean, think about it. These guys are all going on like the 3rd or 4th team. And for all the trash everybody talked about Josh Allen.
Baker's on 5 now, no?
Yeah. It's crazy, because you got these guys who, acted like he was going to be the bad one. And yeah, he's been the best one overall. I am looking it up real quick for you, though, Deborah, even though I know it's kind of a joke comment. Apparently, the last I heard is he was cut by the Cleveland Browns. So he looks like picked up after that, though, to the Minnesota Vikings squad. I haven't heard about his 2023. But the scary thing is, this guy was drafted in 2018, and he's on 7 teams already. That's pretty bad. And people say he doesn't love the game. Listen, you don't love the game if you're still playing for 7 different teams. That's love. I think it's lack of talent, but that's love right there.
And a paycheck.
Other wide receiver news. The Panthers are hosting DJ Shark tomorrow, which is interesting because we talked about them having Adam Thielen in the other day. We also talked about the Giants having potential interest in Adam Thielen as well. And you got to think that's no longer the case, considering with the moves they made today. So I wonder if the Adam Thielen visit just didn't go well, or are they just being very cautious in who they draft because of money issues? Makes you wonder. As Deborah comes in with Phil Simms said Josh Allen was the best of those four in that draft. That's because Phil Simms is a Giant, therefore he's smart. That's why his son, Chris, is not as smart. He didn't play for the Giants. He's a Giants fan, at least, though. I'll give him credit for that. But he played, what, Tennessee, I want to say?
I think so.
I think so, yeah. Let's see. We got Trent Taylor, also re-signs with the Bengals. Another special teams guy there. 1-year deal. No financial news given. The big signing of the last 24 hours, and this one was going on while we were recording yesterday, and I didn't catch it on. Didn't usually get a phone alert when that kind of stuff happens. Orlando Brown Jr. goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. 4 years, $64 million. It is the annual Bengals are determined to keep Joe Burrow upright. Maybe they got like 3 or 4 linemen last year, and it was like, oh, look, they rebuilt the whole line, and he kept getting pummeled all year long.
Let's say he got beaten up like right stepchild.
You know, I almost want to look at his stats as far as how long he holds the ball for and that kind of stuff, because I have never looked into that kind of stuff. But it makes you wonder if he's doing something. You know, like early in Rodgers' career, remember, he was getting hit left and right. Yeah. And people were complaining about him holding onto the ball too long. Maybe he's got the same issue. I don't know.
I was about to say, it made me think about Big Ben Roethlisberger. Like, he
could
actually
sit in the pocket. He was fat enough and big enough. No one could take him down.
And he also apologized to his line. He publicly apologized to his front line because, listen, they have a tough job because I sit in the pocket.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I wait to release the ball, but I want to make sure I have a good throw.
He had to apologize to somebody we know wasn't going to be the women at the bars, so, you know.
In the back alleys.
Bazinga. Speaking of which, I sent you this. You'll know what I'm talking about there. You know, we get a little feisty on the social media accounts here. And there was a Browns page that posted, every quarterback in the NFL is going to be scared to face the Cleveland Browns pass rush. And I put, as this podcast, because I don't care, we're like the Wendy's of Giants podcast here. And every masseuse is scared to face the Cleveland Browns QB. Dude, I'm telling you, we are getting attacked so big right now by Cleveland Brown fans. It's so funny. Like, I didn't even know there was this many Cleveland Brown fans.
Yeah.
Like, where have you been the last 100 years? What did you do when you had those seasons off when there was no Cleveland Browns?
I was going to say, Cleveland Browns, out there, do you guys know that you're the most successful franchise? Not because your team is good, it's because they were terrible for so long that the opposing teams in your division, because they're so close, they all went there once a year and sold out your stadium, bought merch, and you made that much money off not your fans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Just
like I said, it's you know, I think about it, and I'm like, you know, you come across people from different teams, especially here in Florida where, you know, everybody's not from here. I don't think I've really ever come across a Cleveland Brown fan.
Yeah.
I really don't think I have. And keep in mind, I'm on the West Coast, so I-75 goes right up there to Ohio, so you definitely see Ohio people left and right here. All right, so back to actual news. Linebacker news here, because there was actually no edge news, no defensive line news here the last 24 hours. Mack Wilson re-signs with the Patriots, 1 year, $2.3 million. Mostly special teamer, did start 3 games for them this year, though. Steelers did a whole... Oops, sorry.
Did you go over the center spot yet or no?
Oh, you know what? I totally skipped that. Let's go back to the offensive line here, because we got Graham Glasgow returns to the Lions after spending the last 3 seasons with the Broncos. Evan Brown leaves the Lions as a result and goes to the Seahawks for a 1-year deal as former Giant Evan Brown. Spent a little time with us at the beginning of his career there. So back to where I was since I was jumping the gun. Steelers signed Elandon Roberts to a 2-year deal. Former Patriot, former Dolphin, 17 games last season, 107 tackles, so decent amount of tackles there. They consequently went ahead and dropped Miles Jack, who a lot of you guys may remember because a lot of Giant fans wanted to draft this guy big time during the draft there a few years ago. I want to say it was like 5 years ago now because we're getting old and losing track of time. Yeah. But he was a early second round pick, I think, with the Jaguars, if I'm right. Very, very good cover linebacker. That was his specialty. He was the guy that was going to cover the tight end. And that's why everybody wanted him as Giant fans. We haven't been able to cover who forever? The tight end. Oh, yeah.
We get smashed by running backs and tight ends.
Kept on losing those tight ends.
they just don't run back.
Oh, yeah. So we also talked yesterday about Denzel Perryman, the former Raider, who's being courted by the Texans and the Titans. He did meet with the Texans today. No word if he's going to be meeting with the Titans as well. If the Texans are smart and they really want him bad enough, they'll make sure that doesn't happen. Cornerback here. We alluded to something before, and I said you don't want to give old players a lot of money and extensions and all this stuff. So Darius Slayton, who's 32 years old, has, I want to say, like 3 years left on his contract, and that's why the Eagles were going to cut him. They reworked the deal, added 2 more years onto it, and they're keeping him around now. So he's officially back. He had said yesterday that he's going to be back, and then it just went, to finalize here this early evening here. So yeah,
Officially official.
officially official. So we're going to still deal with Slay and Bradbury both. But it's funny how they were going to drop him to keep Bradbury after he was all happy they got Bradbury last season. It's amazing how just a little bit of a time changes your perspective of things sometimes. Yeah. And listen, we're going to have a conversation about the NFC East and all the moves they're doing probably next week. I'm probably going to move the schedule around a little bit there so we can give you guys up to date and everything that the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Commanders did, since that's 6 of our games there. It's a big chunk of the games. It's more than a third of them. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of what's going on there. And we'll discuss this, but for anybody who's thinking that the Eagles that the Eagles are the team that's lost everybody, keep in mind they had redshirted rookies left and right. The Eagles will still be a tough team next year. And I hate to say it as a Giant fan, but it's the truth. Connor Wallace says, total surprise you two came on today with just Campbell signing. LOL. Now I'm a bit confused. Did we miss something while we're on here? Let's see here. Nope.
Do we got to talk about Slayton?
Just no. There is no. We got more than just a Campbell sighting. No, I was thinking of Claytis Campbell at first. I thought I was like talking about him. I'm like, did we just sign him too? We missed it. No, yeah, we're gonna come on every single day, Connor. That's the way we are. Like, if something happens with the Giants, we're gonna be on. We pretty much have no life. You guys are our life. That and work and our spouses. We're reached that age in our life. We just want to stay home and talk sports. Perfect place.
Pretty much.
Place. So we're, like I said, we already talked about that part there, Connor, about the Campbell signing, the Slayton re-signing, the Jihad Ward re-signing. Busy day for the Giants. All right, so back to the other corners that signed today. Nick Needham staying with the Dolphins, 1 year, $2 million deal. Safety-wise, the Broncos are supposedly interested in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who was on Twitter today actually voicing frustrations over everything going on with him and his free agency, and then quickly deleted the tweet. So, yeah, I guess he's got some good advice not to put that up there.
Yeah.
Harrison Smith reworks his deal with the Vikings so that he doesn't get cut. He's now on for his 32nd year with the Vikings.
34th.
So, yeah, it's, he's 12 seasons in, but still, yeah. Connor says, Parris, not Cleus, just that would be wishful thinking. And listen, yeah, I'm with you, dude. Dude, let's just sign all the Campbells. We're gonna have more Campbells than a grocery soup aisle, okay? Like, we're going for it.
Do the can dance.
And we're signing Colts now like crazy too. Who knows? Maybe we get Yannick Ngakoue too. Well, who knows? We're going for all the Colts. Yeah, so like I said, he reworks his deal. Ravens re-signed Geno Stone 1 year. Former Charger Nasir Adderley retires at 25 years old, citing health concerns, which is weird because, to the best of my knowledge, he has never had any major injuries as an NFL player. He just, I guess, wants to quit while he's ahead, or he just knew that nobody was interested in him. I don't know. I don't pretend to know Charger backup safeties in it well enough to. So, one thing I almost completely forgot to go over because we're talking about the Giants signings here. There's also news on the Julian Love front. As we're talking safeties here, we got to talk about that. So the Seahawks hosted Julian Love today for a free agent visit. They also hosted linebacker Devin Bush and defensive back Lonnie Johnson, which doesn't even sound like a football name, right? Lonnie Johnson.
Yeah.
Sounds like a porn name. Sorry, it just does.
Either that or playing in a jam band.
On the jazz flute is Lonnie
Yeah.
Johnson. But yeah, it's one of those things that everything leading up to this week was that the Love and Giants talk was going pretty well. It seems like that's definitely taken a turn, and it makes you wonder if they plan on re-signing him, because they keep on signing everybody else, receiver-wise, re-signing all the other guys. We're getting to that point where, unless we do some more, extensions and reworkings of contracts and stuff like that,
We're going to be in
getting
the
a
red.
little tight with money.
Yeah. We're going to be in the red, so we got to...
We can very easily do it, though. That's the thing. We can
Yeah.
so easily rework some of these deals. Like we talked about that with Waller. We can free up $8 million right there alone, if we wanted to. So I'm not worried about the cap, guys. So don't worry about the cap when you hear, oh, we can't afford this, we can't afford that. Listen, every single freaking year, the New Orleans Saints are negative $60 million, and then they still sign people. They signed David Carr this year. They got the Honey Badger a couple of years ago. These guys don't care. They figured it out. They move it along. Keep on kicking the can. Keep on kicking the can. Keep on kicking the can. Eventually you got to pay the piper when you do that. Don't get me wrong. But if you're going to tell me I can guarantee to have 10 years in a row of playoffs, get to one Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, and then eventually have to pay the piper, sign me up. I think there's not a lot of fans out there who wouldn't say, sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll take that kind of move in a heartbeat. So, yeah, that wraps up all the news we got here today. We got it all done in actually pretty much record timing, considering the fact the Giants made a whole bunch of moves. Curious what you guys think as far as the signing, re-signings that we did here today. Because like I said, I've seen the two sides. I've seen the guys saying, what are we doing? Why aren't we getting a number one? We're wasting this money. And I've seen other guys just glad we're signing receivers finally. So curious your guys' thoughts. Drop that in the comments there for us. Send us a message on Facebook or Twitter if you prefer. Kind of curious to see where everybody's at on that, because like I said, I'm just seeing such a mix. As my dad chimes in with, Love is looking for the most money he can get, so he will talk to anyone who wants to host them. Listen, why not?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Why not? Like, I'm very happy where I'm at in my job right now. But if the competing company said to me, hey, we'd like you to fly out here. We're going to host you for a couple of days, put you up in a hotel, give you some food, show you the facility, wine and dine you. Sign me up.
Possibly offer you another 30% pay increase to 40%.
Sign me up. I'll just go to my bosses with that offer, but still, sign me up. It's like, so again, I'm not worried about him leaving yet necessarily. And I think that if the Giants want him, he'll be a Giant. Because look at the contracts we're seeing right now for safeties. It's not like they're getting a ton of money this year. It's not like you're seeing guys signing for, 13, 14, $15 million deals as safeties. I don't think anybody's even gotten, except for, the guys from the Cincinnati Bengals, because everybody wanted those guys this offseason. I don't think anybody else has gotten even $10 million.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to get about an $8 million contract. That was my thoughts. I thought somebody would give him like 3 years, $24 million. Which is a decent contract. Yeah. It's a good contract. Right. So, and the Giants have that money very easily with just Waller and reworking that deal if they really wanted it. So, if the Giants want him and he wants the Giants, they will figure it out. So, if he signs somewhere else, it tells you one of three things. Somebody Nick Gates him and just overpaid the hell out of him. Or he didn't want to be a Giant, or the Giants didn't want him to be a Giant. One of those three is going on. Because you just never know with that. And I haven't heard any rumblings about them not wanting to keep him. Patricia Traynor was talking on her show today about how she knew that Gates was not coming back ahead of time. And
she kind of made it obvious in the show.
She said that on the show a couple of times. She's like, I don't see Nick Gates coming back. And she knew he wasn't coming back. She just didn't want to say it because she didn't want to, reveal she knew something she wasn't supposed to know, basically. But she kind of hinted at it. So I haven't heard a thing on that with Love. Yeah. But I am hearing more that Love is possibly not coming back for monetary reasons. I am hearing that a little more. And I'm wondering if that's people hearing things that's going on that they're not supposed to know either. Maybe he's asking for more money. Maybe the Giants don't want to give him as much money as they probably should. I don't know. Part of the equation you get with this is you drafted a guy last year in Dane Belton. Not a big fan of him personally, but you drafted a guy already to be a safety. You got to pay Xavier McKinney here with the next year. Do you really want to pay both your safeties big money? For a guy that prior to this year was a utility player, basically. Yeah. He was your Swiss Army knife. In fact, he was called a Swiss Army knife. So, like I said, I'm not sure which way I'd go, to be very frank.
It's hard because we haven't signed Feliciano yet either. So it's like, what do you do?
No, we don't have a center right now. How scary is that? We don't have a center. Unless they want to move Josh Azudu over to center, because there was talks about that when they drafted him. But so far, they've basically left the entire position, alone there. Connor Wallace comes in with, okay, any other new signings besides Parris Slayton today? I just got home 30 minutes ago. Anything else I missed today since yesterday?
Jihad Ward.
Yeah, Jihad Ward is the big one there, re-signing. Again, we all expected that. That's not something that I would ever say is a surprise, a shocker in any way, shape, or form there. We also talked about, if you missed it, because I don't know when you say since yesterday, if you hadn't seen anything since bedtime or what the deal was. But we did sign, of course, the former Jet Jeff Smith, the wide receiver as well, late yesterday as well. Probably a practice squad kind of guy, maybe bottom of the barrel wide receiver that plays special teams as well. He was a gunner for the Jets is what my understanding is. So it wasn't like he was a returner, but he was a gunner on the punt team, which is still an important position. So, definitely helps with field position if you can go ahead and smack the crud out of the damn returner before the second he gets the ball. It's a nice thing to do. So, yeah, like I said, Connor, that's what we got there. That's the big four moves, I guess, if you want to say. Well, 3 big moves, 1 little move. So, yeah, and we expect some more things to happen. I still do. I really expect that they're going to go ahead and do something on the offensive line the next day or two. If they do anything, guys, we will, of course, be back. We will, of course, be back. Who did you guys say signed before Smith? Jihad Ward is re-signed, Connor. I think that's who you were mentioning. So the edge player, the former Raven, the former Bronco, the former Dolphin. This guy's played for every team as well before us. But he had a good year with us.
The guy that follows Wink everywhere, and the guy that winks wants him to follow him everywhere.
Wink winks, he winks back.
It is.
So, yeah, like I said, I think that you're going to see a move like that. If there's no moves tomorrow, guys, listen, we've been on 4 days in a row. We usually do 3 episodes a week. So if there's no moves tomorrow, I think we're going to call it a week, basically, and we'll see you guys again on Monday. If there's any moves that do happen, we will, of course, be back on again tomorrow. And knowing the Giants will do 1 move just to make us do a 5th day in a row of episodes. I thought we were going to take today off, and then all of a sudden this all happened. I literally called. I'm at work. I see the news of Paris, and immediately I'm calling Rob. I'm like, Rob, heads up. We're going to have to do an episode today after all.
Yeah,
we decided right then and there that we're going to have to because it's a big signing getting the Parris Campbell move, and that was before even the Darius Slayton and the Jihad Ward signings there. As Connor comes up with no Rodgers signing, WTF is up with that guy. You're talking about what? You're talking about
Aaron?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Because if that's the case, nobody's signing him. He's a trade candidate. And the Jets and the Packers are still working out, what they're going to do as far as compensation for him. Because it's a hard thing to figure that out because you got a really good player at the most important position in the entire league, but also a guy who is, looking more and more like Father Time has beaten the crud out of him. I actually saw a picture of him today when he got drafted. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize how much he's aged.
Oh, yeah. He definitely doesn't look like Tom Brady when he got drafted compared to him at 40.
Tom Brady has a lot of. Tom Brady looks better now because of all the plastic surgery he took. He looks like just some frumpy guy. Yeah, plastic wheatgrass that was injected into him. Hopefully he doesn't eat gluten-free.
Pretty sure he does.
Pretty sure he does it for no apparent reason. Let's see one more comment. I think one of his demands is a dark room at MetLife. Yeah, that's pretty much. This guy literally took some peyote and went into a hole for a couple of days to decide if he wanted to still play football. I'm sorry, if you have to do that, you don't want to play football.
I gotta figure out my life choices, man.
Do what everybody else does. Take a break, go to the Caribbean, enjoy a good hammock and a beer, and then decide in a couple of days. Why are you going in a hole like a weirdo? I'm just saying, it's weird. It's weird. He should know that. He should know better. And watch when he comes, I'm telling you, when he comes to the Jets, he is going to be absolutely destroyed by the media. I'm telling you right now, I'm so looking forward to him having his Randy Johnson punching a camera guy moment. It's going to happen. He's going to flip the hell out.
Watch, he's going to be the nicest guy in the media.
Nope. It's too late. It's like Barry Bonds syndrome. You already are what you are. You can try to change all you want. You already are what you are. It's not going to change.
People change, man.
Yeah. So, like I said, folks, we'll get our schedule going here. So originally we're going to have a conversation as far as finishing up our positional rankings next week. I think what we're going to do is, because originally the plan was to have an episode tomorrow with our mock draft, and instead of doing that, we're now going to be go ahead and possibly waiting and doing one on Monday. So we'll do a mock draft either Monday or Wednesday. I haven't figured the schedule out yet, because we're actually talking to a special guest about coming on. So, a guy that I think you guys are going to like actually dealing with, because the guy's also another content creator who's just got, a really good following and does some really good work there. So, I won't give you guys too much. Never give you guys a name until the day of that. You know that. Keep you guys in suspense. But yeah, we got a really good guy coming on here, so you guys will like that. And then we're going to do with that, we're going to do on one of those shows is going to be a NFC East, like I said, review of all the moves that's happened this week here. So keep in touch with us, guys, by going ahead and hit that like, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube. Like I said, usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 o'clock is when we've been recording. But like I said, I do anticipate we probably will not have a show tomorrow unless something major goes down signing-wise. And if that's the case, we're also going to send an email to Joe Shane to give us a night off and let us have some sleep.
Yeah.
We work 9 to 5s. I shouldn't say 9 to 5s. We work like 5 to 5. So therefore, we do that, and then we come in and do this. So me and Rob both been going nonstop for the last 16 hours already. So
4 a.m. came fast.
Yeah, we're both pretty tired here. But like I said, we'll definitely go ahead and let you guys know. Connor said my bell didn't tell me you in today. WTF? Well, Connor, we did start this one up a little late, so I wonder if maybe that's why we're a couple minutes late getting on there, because we had some difficulties there with some technical difficulties there. But keep in mind that if you go to our page as well on YouTube, it'll give you the option for upcoming events to notify you for the individual events as well. So feel free to do that as well. Like I said, there's 2 on there now, but don't count on those. We're going to adjust some schedules there probably the next day or 2 to go ahead and get that stuff going for the other ones there. We'll get to the safeties and the special teams. We still have to do the position reviews with that, and we will definitely be doing that for you guys there. But like I said, in the meantime, guys, keep an eye out, because like I said, as stuff comes out, we will go ahead and let you guys know what's going on. As Anastasia says, love it. Of course, everybody loves the goofballs. Yeah. She says, tell me why the Giants are the number 1. Wow. We shouldn't have to tell you, Anastasia. We shouldn't have to tell you. It's because of the 4 rings. It's because they had the GOAT LT. It's because they had the most clutch quarterback to ever play in the city in Eli Manning. It's because the Jets suck. It's because the Cowboys suck. It's because the Eagles suck. That's why we are number 1.
Pretty much.
That's it. So again, folks, thank you very much for listening in. As always, again, we have the option for if you want to sponsor one of our next upcoming shows here. The website for that is buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Again, buymeacoffee.com/2 giant goofballs. And the donation started just $5 at that point there to sponsor one of the shows. I shouldn't even call it donation. It's kind of like a fee. I don't know what term is the proper legal term to call it there. It's a little thank you gift. We'll call it that way. It's a thank you gift.
It's a cup of coffee for a friend.
Exactly. And of course, always, sharing is caring. So please do let everybody know about this show that you think might enjoy it as well. We definitely appreciate it. That's how we grow this organically here. The interesting thing is we talked about having the show tomorrow originally. This is actually our 100th episode, guys. 100 episodes. We've just been doing this here since August. And to be very frank, the name's fitting for us as Two Giant Goofballs because we went into this with basically no social media presence whatsoever ahead of time. You know, we weren't the guy who had like 10,000 followers on Twitter and can get everybody and their mother to see the show real quick like that. We have grown this as organic from the bottom as it gets.
Our first two followers were these two goofballs.
Exactly. We were the first 2 downloads. So. Womp. But yeah, like I said, we do want to take a second to thank all you guys who are listening and have been listening, because a lot of podcasts and a lot of programs never make it to 100 episodes. And we wouldn't make it if people weren't listening and people weren't watching, because to be very frank, it'd be a boring show for us as well. So thank you to all of you for helping us reach the milestone there. We definitely do appreciate it. Again, if you guys are watching live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Twitch, as we're everywhere there, we appreciate you guys listening live. Keep in mind all those platforms. If you're not watching live, you are able to go ahead and rewatch them there, except for Twitch. Twitch doesn't leave it up for a rewatch for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, they're weird like that.
Yeah, they are weird like that. Twitch is still a weird thing to me, but we're on it because it doesn't cost me anything to go on it. So what the hell, might as well. At least I'm honest about why we're on it. The big ones for us really are the big 3 in Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube there. So like I said, I think YouTube is probably the easiest one if you want to get the notifications like Connor was talking about, even though his bell was malfunctioning today. I guess an angel didn't get its wings. But oh, look at this, John Sanderson. What the hell you guys are on? I missed the 100th. Son of a bitch. Roberto made it and I didn't, he says. I was wondering where John was.
I was about to give you a shout out, John.
I was wondering where John was there, Yeah, John, you missed it. Yeah, we had to go live because it's it's the biggest the biggest day pretty much for news since the first day of free agency for us. Between Parris Campbell and Darius Slayton and Jihad Ward and all these moves, Julian Love going to visit the Seahawks, we had to go on today. We had to. And John, unfortunately, like we said to everybody else there a minute ago, we probably will not be on tomorrow unless any moves come on. So. Yeah, you're gonna have to go ahead and watch it. You could save this and rewatch it tomorrow, so it's kind of like a new episode on Friday. But again, thank you guys, everybody who's listening in. Again, if you prefer listening in, again, we have the audio platforms as well. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Amazon, we're on iHeart, we're on Deezer, which I never even heard of Deezer before at that point. As John says, you better be on tomorrow. Sorry, John, we need a day off. If nothing else is happening, we are officially not going to be on there. So, but we'll see what happens. Like I said, knowing the Giants, they'll probably make a move and it'll force us to come on again.
Yeah, John, we got some exciting stuff coming next week anyway, man.
Oh yeah. You missed it, John. When you rewatch the episode, you'll be excited about next week. So again, thank you everybody for listening in. Again, a great way to say thank you to us is to go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share, let everybody know about it. Or once again, going on to the buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs, the number 2 giant goofballs. And again, guys, thank you very much for listening in. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. Very much appreciated. And as always,
John,
go G-Man!
G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?